There's a huge shift in the world right now, and many people are living in fear. It's time for that to change. Hi, I'm Tara. I'm your host and guide, and I invite you to take this journey with me as we discover new ways to embrace more love, more celebration, letting go of the fear in the seen and the unseen world, and embracing your power. Welcome to my show, Fearless Spirit. Hi, welcome back. This is Tara with Fearless Spirit, and I'm your host and guide, and I am here to talk to you today, or share with you actually. I don't even want to talk to you, I wanted to share with you. I almost didn't record this episode for this round, and I know I just started my podcast, but I've just been going through it this week. I've had a lot of emotions. There is a big shift in energy in the month of July. I'm feeling it. Of course, number one, a little tidbit about me. I used to be a police dispatcher many, many years ago, but I was a police dispatcher. During this times of month, physically speaking, in this 3D world, it is much more common to have a lot more anger, fights, disruptions, crime. That all happens during summer months. So if you're in a part of the world where it is currently summer and it's hot, this is actually very normal because the heat makes people irritable. The heat makes people cranky. The heat actually causes, for some people, physical damage. They get overheated or heat stroke or heat exhaustion. And because of that, there is a 3D component to this. And I'm noticing that, right? We get really hot. And also the secondary thing is when it's that hot, if you're not going outside much, you're not getting your connection to nature and grounding as well. So then you forget where you are and what you're doing, and you just get cranky and angry. So I'm sensing and feeling that energy everywhere right now. And I was going to talk to you about all these other things today, but really I'm noticing this. I'm even noticing this in myself, where the last couple of weeks, I've just been feeling kind of stir crazy, not really being able to go many places. And I'm traveling a lot, but even where we go, like right now, I'm in Las Vegas and it's 100 and, hold on, I'm going to check the current temperature. It's 12:32 in the afternoon right now. And it is currently 109 degrees, expected to get up to 113 today, so Fahrenheit. So it's hot, and I'm not going outside much. And I'm here visiting friends, and we were here for the holiday. It was great. It's also frustrating because it is so stinking hot. What are we going to do outside? Nothing. Not unless we have some magical, air conditioner that we can take around with us, right? Which doesn't happen. So basically we're just staying in the house, and that makes the visit not quite as fun. I lived here for 18 years, so I'm not going to the Strip. I lived there, I worked there. That's not, for me personally, that's just not a fun place to go because I've been there and I grew up there. And by principle, this is just me, but out of principle, I'm not paying for parking. I'm sorry. I lived here for 18 years. I was here from 2002 for 18 years, and I never paid for parking. And suddenly now everywhere you want to go, you have to pay for parking. So I much rather just not go to the Strip unless I can get free parking somewhere. I'm just saying. And that's just me. And if you like paying for parking and you want to go have fun, then oh my gosh, go have fun, right? Totally supporting you in that. So we're here from Southern California in Las Vegas to celebrate the holiday and just be with friends. I got a nice invite to come stay at my friend's house. She has an amazing guest suite with its own floor. So just really enjoying having that quietude, because currently my partner and I are living in a multi-generational home. But what I'm noticing is there's so much energy everywhere. So my friend is actually, I'm going to share a little story. My friend is actually very good at keeping her house energy clean and regularly saging and doing all the things to just kind of keep any residual or imprinted energy out of the house. And they did have some family visiting over the last holidays. And we are the first ones, my partner and I were the first ones to sleep in the guest suite since I think December. And so we were in there on the very first night. I'm literally laying in bed, and suddenly I feel so cranky. And I want to blame my partner for all these things because it's his fault. I don't feel great. And I'm laughing in my head going, where the heck is this coming from? Because I don't feel this way. And we have a really healthy relationship. That stuff doesn't happen in our relationship. And I'm laughing because I'm like, what the heck? Why am I irritated, angry, and want to blame everybody for my problems kind of thing, right? So I just said, okay, this is clearly not my energy, just noticing, just sitting with it, right? And as the night wore on, I'm having difficulty sleeping, and I wake up and now I am holding on to worry. Oh my gosh, I left our bedroom window open. There's going to be all these fireworks. There's going to be so much gunpowder smell in our room when we get home. Oh my gosh, did I take the trash out before we left? Oh no, all these things that I literally, honestly do not worry about. These are things that when I go on a trip, I'm like, it is what it is. We'll deal with it when we get home. And I'm sitting there doing that. And then I had this moment of like intense confusion where I wasn't even sure what to do with my life, where I was going, like craziness. And that's when my regulated body, because I'm going to talk about that later, the regulated body went, hold up. What the heck? These are not our thoughts. We don't talk to ourselves this way. We don't behave this way anymore. We certainly don't blame others for things that are happening in our lives. And that's when I realized that this room was containing an imprinting and residual energy of some or a few people that were hiding. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because the more you get practiced, right? Because this is a muscle you build. This is not something that you suddenly get super good at immediately. It takes time. When you're living in right way, you choose to now connect more with your spirituality. There are some things in the 3D world that you will be invited to start practicing to ensure that you stay clean and clear in your connection. One of them is really making sure that you're super able to identify what energy is yours and what's not yours. And how do you do that? Well, for me personally, I don't know how you do that, right? You're going to find what works for you. But how I do that is I practice daily clearing my energy field and grounding. And I do that so that I have gotten really good at identifying what I feel like all by myself with no one else in my energy field. And so when I have things come in that don't belong to me, I can identify it very quickly now. But I will be honest, it took me time and practice. This didn't happen overnight. And that is possible for everyone, but a lot of people are a little impatient. And I was too, so no judgment there. So just reminding you with love, it takes practice, it takes devotion, it takes commitment. I'm not saying gung-ho like I'm going to go to the gym every day and suddenly lose weight and get in amazing shape kind of thing, right? It's more like baby steps. Every day I wake up and say, okay, what's the one thing I can do that will keep me devoted to my spiritual journey, that'll keep me on my path? So even if I'm not feeling good today, how can I guarantee that I stay on this path by even 1 or 2 small steps, right? So mine is, what my go-to is continuously being dedicated and devoted to clearing my own energy every morning and grounding. And on the rare occasion I don't, man, do I feel it? Man, do I feel it. But because of that, I have been able to identify now what belongs to me and what doesn't belong to me. And then I can decide from there whether I'm going to do something about it or I'm not going to take the obligation or the responsibility, just to be aware it's there and let that other person go through their own journey. Because unless they ask me, now this is a big thing in the spirit world, is how do you continually stay in integrity and not intervene without permission? So that's one of them, right? So the number one thing is consent. Consent is so important, not only in the world here in the 3D world, it is important when it comes to energies and spirit, that we continually practice our own free will and honor everyone else's free will as well. We don't impose our agenda on anyone else. And so when we get this information, sometimes it's not for us to do anything with, it's just to help us to better understand what we are around and what people are going through. And in that opportunity, can we just love them a little bit more without thinking we have to fix them? So in this case, that was different. This case, it was that I identified energies that were left in the bed, in the mattress, and then I was able to identify with help from my guides that there was also some energy hiding in the closet. So she had missed it because when I told my friend about this, she actually said, you know what, I cleaned every part of the house except the closet down there. I didn't even think about that. So the energy found a way. And I say energy because this was not a conscious being, but energy in a way has its own sentient energy, and it can hide. And so it hid in the corner so it didn't get booted out of the house. But because I was down there, I picked up on this stuff, and I was able to ask my guys, like, hey, show me where else it's hiding besides the mattress. And so I went down. I didn't bring any sage with me. So here's a little trick for those of you who don't know. You can clear energy of a room through sound, clapping, snapping. You can make sounds vocally. So Om, even a simple Om, that can clear a room. You get to choose. So sound clearing. So you can do clearing of energy that doesn't require smoke or sprays. It can just be sound. So you can do sound clearing, and you can look it up. They have books on this and see how that and what would work for you, right? I also have some yoga chimes that I couldn't find for some reason. I actually wanted to bring them with me, funny enough, and I couldn't find them. So I must have already been kind of getting dialed into the fact that I was going to find this energy. And I laughed because my friend's like, my gosh, I never had this happen. And I said, that's why you invited me. Just joking. That's why you invited me, because you knew if I came, I'd stir it up and you'd find it so we could get rid of it for you. And ultimately, when I described what I was feeling the anger and wanting to blame others for my problems. She was like, oh, she knew exactly who that belonged to. And then I described this severe confusion where I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I'm at or what I'm doing and what do I do with my life? And I was like, whoa, because I am so clear. I am so clear who I am and where I'm going that there was no confusion in my life. So when I felt that, I then at that moment was like, oh, this is not my energy. We were able to clear it. And so just becoming aware of your environment and knowing that this is happening everywhere. And so what I'm noticing happening is that people are getting agitated. So there's a lot of things happening right now, especially in this next coming month or two. The heat, number one, is just really activating everybody because the heat just makes some people miserable. It's hard to get through heat, especially when it's really high temperatures, right? And especially if you're in an environment. Now, I've lived in tropical environments for many years. If you're in an environment where it's really hot and it's really humid, it's so hard. Oh my gosh, it literally wipes all your energy and you don't have energy to be happy. You just want to snap and be angry and go lay down and take a nap in the air conditioning. At least that's been my experience. Oops, you're probably going to get that noise because I just hit the microphone. And so how do you learn how to regulate that, right? So what am I talking about with regulation? Okay, so my background is that I'm also a very highly trained coach, and I do a lot of my own healing work so that I practice what I teach. Nervous system regulation is so important for so many reasons. So what is it really, right? So let's just dive into that really quick. What is nervous system regulation? Nervous system regulation is not that things aren't going to keep happening to you. It's that you have been able to do enough of the release work of internal charges and our activation. So when we have situations happen, right, let's just dive into a term of trauma and it is used a lot, but trauma is a term that helps people understand. It's not the actual situation that's happening. It's how you as a person are perceiving that situation and how you store that information. And are you holding on to it, or were you able to process it all the way through and let it go? And if you weren't, then that becomes trauma in your body. And it's not a good or bad thing. There's no judgment here. Your body is going to receive the information the way it receives it. And you get to educate yourself then on how you can eventually process it. Because we were not trained, right? They say the good old days. There was never truly good old days. We have continuously for thousands of years been in strife and war and upheaval and upset. So how is it some people can have those experiences and be just fine? And how is it that someone that's in the same room is not fine? It's because their nervous system did not know how to process that information and to release it because of whatever, right? Whether it was the way they were raised, whether it's that they have a highly sensitive nervous system and were never aware that that was the case, so they were never taught how to work with their highly sensitive nervous system, or they had some other situations in life that were traumatizing and this just reactivates and holds it. So that is what that is. Now that can be activation. And that can also be trauma or a charge. The other thing is sometimes the way that happens, the way you become traumatized or you have a charge that doesn't release, is not necessarily that the situation and how you perceived it is what didn't happen when it's over. So you can have, let's say, a car accident, and then there's no one there to make sure you're okay, to check you out. You're just there by yourself. And so you can end up becoming traumatized, activated, and or store charge of the situation that's in your body, not your mind, because you didn't have anyone there supporting you to make you feel safe, to hold you, to feel with you, to hear you process and give you permission that you're okay to feel what you're feeling. If you were injured, were your injuries cared for in a way that was compassionate and made you feel like you were being seen fully as a human being and taken care of. So those are all components that can start leading into a dysregulated nervous system. Ultimately, what ends up happening now is that your brain goes into an emergency mode, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and you can't think of any options except I have to survive in this moment because something or someone is about to kill me, right? So even if this seems very extreme, even if you're in traffic, that's what's happening. That's literally what's happening in your body. Your body's feeling in danger. And your brain is saying, oh my gosh, I'm in danger. I don't know what to do except how do I get out of this to survive? No options, right? So that's dysregulated nervous system. A dysregulated nervous system is no options. A regulated nervous system has been, through practice and healing, it has learned how to become resilient. It has learned that you can be in an environment where something happens, like being in traffic, stopped, someone's yelling at you, a loud noise happens. If you're, with family, people are arguing, you have been able to do enough healing work and enough training or conditioning or teachings of your body to teach it that it can be safe even in these uncomfortable situations. And so what ends up happening is you're still going to get like you're going to get the hit of adrenaline and all that, but your brain gets to stay in a state of options. Your brain goes, wow, this is really tough that's happening right now. And how are we going to be able to handle this situation in a way that's really going to work out for our highest and best good? Well, I can see because I have options and my brain's actually functioning right now. It's not in freeze mode. I'm not suddenly feeling like I'm in danger. My body's feeling uncomfortable. My brain is feeling safe. Oh, well, this person's also very dysregulated. Something activated them. And I know when they're in this state, they're not going to be reasonable. I can't talk them down. So I can lovingly say, hey, I can see there's a strong emotion. I definitely want to talk to you. And this is not the time. I'm going to walk away for a little bit. We can both calm down. And once you feel calmer, we'll come back and readdress the situation and hopefully come to a solution. Or you can say, I'm out, bye, and you can leave. But you're not leaving from fear. You're leaving because you realize it's the only option at this time based on all the other options your brain gave you. So that's kind of a simple way of explaining regulated and dysregulated, right? So I can have people in the house arguing and be like, you know what, it has nothing to do with me. Everybody's safe. They're just yelling at each other. I'm not intervening because I'm not the referee and nobody asked me to help them. That is how as an example I can give you, how you can stay regulated. And that's when you just wait till everyone's calm. And then if you do feel like you need to intervene, you wait. You wait till everyone's calm and then you say, hey, so what was happening? And I'm giving these examples because that's how my world works. You might have very different. So think about this. Think about this in your own life. Some of you are in corporate world where you have some toxic bosses or you have toxic employees that are constantly activating you. They say or do things that make you feel like you don't know what to say to respond to it. You feel offended, whatever the case may be, right? You have this emotional upset that your brain cannot process with options. Instead, it just processes with being upset and getting stuck in that mode or wanting to fight back or wanting to just escape or shutting down altogether, right? So those are signs for you that you're in a dysregulated nervous system. And with that, I would like to take a little pause and take you through a little simple breathing exercise. And I invite you to practice this, maybe doing it 1 minute at a time at first. And if you need to, you can do it all day long, different areas at a time. It's just going to start, it's a very simple regulating breath. So what you can do, you can put your, I'm very burpy today. I had like some gluten-free buns yesterday and I don't really do grains, so my belly's kind of like, woo. So you can put your hand on your chest and you're going to just gently do small little circles. Just soft ones, nothing hard, just soft little circles, okay? Now the breath is going to be an inhale through your nose and an exhale out of your mouth. So again, inhaling your nose and exhale out your mouth. Now, the regulated breath is going to be like this. Circles on your chest. Inhale in your nose on a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale out your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what you did is you exhaled a little longer. So I'm going to do that with you again. Inhale. Exhale. Now, if you have a stronger lung capacity and you can breathe longer, let that exhale be as long as possible. What you just did is sent a signal to your body that even if this situation is uncomfortable, you're not in danger. Because if you were in danger, you would breathe like this as you're getting ready to get your adrenaline pumping and run away or stay and fight. So if you are able to take a long exhale, you just signal to your body, well, if I can stop and breathe a really long exhale, I'm not in danger. I don't need to fight. I don't need to flee. So that means I'm actually okay. And by doing that, you bring your body back into a calmer state. And now your brain has options. Now your brain can go, okay, that was really uncomfortable. And yeah, I see how just leaving right now would have not been serving for me. But I can draw a boundary. And boundaries, by the way, the actual definition of boundaries is to prevent further suffering of yourself. So that means we're not controlling other people's behavior. We are just deciding what we are allowing in our circle and what we're not allowing. And if that person wants to continue to behave that way, your option as a boundary is to leave that situation. And that is how we create boundaries. So the boundaries are not to control anyone else's behavior. Our boundaries are created for us to prevent ourselves from having further suffering and to then make that decision to either not engage, remove ourselves, or just follow through. I said if this happened, this is what will happen because this is my boundary. You're not stopping, so this conversation is now over. Or you're yelling at me again and I'm not available to be yelled at. So I'm going to leave. And if you want to have a conversation with me when you feel calm and you can talk to me with a normal range of voice, I'm available to listen. You let me know when that is and you walk away. So those are just some simple examples and they're not easy and they're not simple. The reason why I bring all this to your attention is because this does apply even in the spirit world. So while I was here in this room and I felt these emotions, I could have let that sweep me up and I could have actually engaged in it and let those energies affect me. But instead I noticed them, I processed, I released what was in my body to let it go. And then I did some clearing of the room. I went in and I clapped, I snapped, I did some light language, a little bit of singing, some tones, and I said it with the intention, you have to leave now. And I basically dissipated that energy. My friend came home, did the same. It's their home, so they claimed ownership and said, this is my house, you're not welcome here, you must go. Now, it seems silly to say that to energies that are not full conscious spirits, but it works with all because, again, we are the most powerful thing in the room. And so I share this because this is going to really, really help you through the next month because there's going to be a lot of upheaval. A lot of people are very emotional right now. They're going to want to engage in emotional arguments with you. And if you have the opportunity to practice doing that breath, shorter inhale through the nose, longer exhale out the mouth, gentle circles over on your chest, you can actually regulate yourself so that you don't have to engage in that. Because as a female body, and it happens to male bodies too, but particularly female bodied people, we tend to have as we get older, we tend to have adrenal fatigue. So the more our cortisol and our adrenaline gets pumping, the more it wears our adrenals out. Now, your adrenals are those little glands that sit on top of your kidneys that produce your energy. So they release the adrenaline for when you need to flee, but they also release a little bit of adrenaline and hormones to give you energy throughout the day. So if you constantly are in these kind of emotional upset or upheaval type situations, it will tax your body and you will start to literally burn out. And a lot of you are currently in burnout. Why is that so important even for the spirit world? Well, when you are not taking care of your internal self and your emotions, there's a couple of things that happen. One is you're not setting good, strong boundaries for spirits or energies. So that's when your house gets all gummed up. It gets gummed up with energies you bring home from work or from being out in public. That affects you. It also can leave doors open for spirits or energies that are of a lower vibration to come in and hang out, which then ultimately will affect you. And so it's really important right now. But it also means that you're going to have people's energy around you and they're going to want to engage with you in ways that may not be healthy. And you might get tired and be like, why is this happening to me? And it's happening because we are not taught this in this world right now. We are not taught to be aware. We are very 3D, prove it by science only. Even though, and I'll be honest, I'm going to share my opinion. We have known about energies and consciousness for thousands of years. It's written all over the place. I mean, literally ancient Egypt. Ayurveda has been around for 5,000 years. Chinese medicine has been around for 5,000 years. Vedic astrology has been around for thousands of years. And all of these practices have been uninterrupted. And they are considered woo-woo or new age. But in reality, they've been around for thousands of years. And they have been proven tried and true. And we want to discount it now because it seems so out of what society now has deemed is normal. And so what I'm actually bringing back into this world by sharing this stuff on the podcast is bringing back the normalcy that this stuff has been around for thousands of years and it's not new age or woo-woo. It's actually tried and true. And a lot of our research now scientifically is proving it to be true. So isn't that fun and exciting? I think it's fun and exciting. But that also means that you get to have knowledge. You get to choose by choice to live a more fulfilling life. And that means you get to stay regulated. You get to do your internal work and have radical self-responsibility. What do I mean by that? Well, even today, I've been feeling very, very vulnerable, and I was able to share with my partner how I'm feeling. And I started my conversation out with radical self-responsibility. I've been feeling certain ways. Before I share it, I want you to know none of this is your fault. You're not responsible for it. And I may have some needs that if you're feeling available, I would really like to receive those from you. But if you're not, let me know and I'll figure out how to work it out. And by doing that, I take the expectation off my partner to be my everything. I also take that expectation off my friends to be my everything. Because we as human beings, we don't have the capacity to be everyone's everything. Let's be real. We have to be ourselves, whatever we need. We have to get what we need first. And if people are putting expectations on us to be their everything, and we don't have enough to give to ourselves, we're just going to fabulously fail, and then we disappoint everyone, including ourselves. So starting out with that radical self-responsibility, like, I don't even know if these stories are true, but these are what have been sitting in my body. I just need to express them out loud so that I feel better and I clear my energy. Why is that? Oh, so much to unpack here, but I only have so much time, right? So the reality of it is, I cannot identify if I'm not working on my own shit, basically. If I'm not taking care of myself internally, if I'm not meditating every day. And for all of you that are having difficulty meditating, it's okay. My meditations some days are 3 minutes long. It's not how long it is, it's the quality. is learning to just find moments of stillness. If you can only find moments of stillness, 3 minutes here, 1 minute there throughout the whole day, you're still meditating. I feel like a lot of us begin to fail because all the information out there seems so simple, like you just have to meditate an hour a day. But right now in the society, not everyone has that opportunity. But you do have time to be in stillness even when driving. That would be considered a moving meditation. You can take a little walk and come to stillness. That's a moving meditation. You can sit at your desk at your job and just practice breathing for 3 minutes. That's a meditation. What we're doing is we're training our brain to find stillness within the chaos. And when we do that, we start to learn how to dial into ourselves. And by doing that, we learn when we are actually getting intuitive messages from our higher selves, or we're making judgments based on information that we think we're receiving from others that are really more us being triggered. So many times people say, my intuition says this. My friend brought up a good point up and she says, this is what I think it is and tell me if you're in alignment with that. And I'm like, absolutely. But it was great to be reminded. When it's true intuition, when it is your higher self, your guides, when it's spirit talking to you, giving you this information, you feel very regulated. You feel very unattached. It just feels like information coming through. When you feel emotionally charged, when you have a judgment around it, when you feel like somehow your rightness is more important than their current state of being or their situation, that's not intuition. That's you feeling triggered and then coming up with a idea, judgment, or opinion based on that trigger. When you are being given universal knowledge, higher self insight, your guides are talking to you, you'll feel your body feeling very calm. You will feel very unattached to the outcome of it. It's just information. It's just knowledge for you to have, and you can choose to share it or not. That is intuition, right? Like if you're driving down the street and suddenly you say, you need to go left instead of right. And you think, okay, and I go left. But there's no emotion around it. That is intuition. That is you being able to tap into your higher energies and your higher self that basically tells you your truth. That you may have already known that if you went right, you were going to get in a car accident. But if you turn left, you'll be safe. But you don't need to know that information, right? Your intuition is just telling you go left and you listen. Now, if you're in the car and someone cuts you off and you're like, oh, then they're just being an a-hole and they're having a bad day. And my intuition tells me that this person that's not intuition. That is you being triggered. And that is you creating an environment of thinking that your higher self is talking when really it's just your body and its own charges coming up. So that's why real self-care is learning to clear your energy field. Learning to be responsible for that. Not blaming others for your problems. Even if another person may have caused part of the problem you're in, you're the one who gets to choose how you actually change, heal, or correct that situation. Nobody else can make you do it. And so therefore, no one else is at blame. Now, I'm not saying I was in an abusive relationship in my life and it was awful. And I'm not taking that away from anybody. But I had to take deep self-responsibility for where I became educated on what was happening. And even in that state, I chose to stay. And I chose to stay for a while. And I did because there was a healing journey that I was on. But I had to take responsibility for that. I couldn't blame him for everything because I did choose to stay even after I became educated of what was happening to me. And I did choose to be in that environment longer than I needed to be because I was so attached to being a victim. Now looking back, I don't regret it. I love on myself for that. That relationship was the biggest soul growth relationship I ever had in my life. And I'm grateful for it now But I also see where I took responsibility. And after that, I took responsibility to heal myself. I also saw where my behaviors, my belief systems, and the way I chose to live my life was attracting people like that into my realm, into my world. Now, when you are becoming a light worker, and let me give you the definition of a light worker. A light worker is a person who is currently doing their own internal work with radical self-responsibility to heal themselves, to make their light shine brighter. That's it. That doesn't mean we're out healing others. Now, once you do that work, if someone comes and says, hey, I see what you did, can you teach me? Yeah, I would love to show you the way. But a true light worker is actually healing their own light so their own light can shine brightly. And that in itself will change the world, one person at a time. But it's not so we can suddenly turn around and go, okay, now that I did, I'm going to teach everybody and I'm going to do it for a living. I do this for a living now, but I have many, many, many years of doing my own healing work and really focusing on my own healing work and really learning how to do this right so that now that I do it for a living, I know how to hold space for people. And if I'm not sure, I pause and I get help around that to make sure that I create a constant, safe environment for everyone I work with. I am aware. I unlearn and relearn because I have radical self-responsibility now. Why is that important? Well, as this world is starting to get shaken up, I stay regulated. I can see a bigger picture. I have compassion and I also am not attached. There are some situations happening in this world that are absolutely horrid. I can't change them right now. I can, however, continue to help those who I can help. I can continue to do whatever I can to make this world a better place in my own world. And by doing that, I can share that kind of wisdom, and that will start changing the world one person at a time. Because that's where I am in my area of control. I cannot suddenly make war stop because I don't have control of that. And I can be against it. I can be for it. I can be whatever, right? But I'm only one person. So where I take my responsibility is I will work with each and every person who comes to me and wants the help as long as I know I can help them. I also take the responsibility to know when I'm out of my realm, when it's more than I can handle. And with care and authenticity, I get to actually refer that person to someone who has training in that, who I know can help them in a way that I could not. I let my ego go. I don't believe that I can help everybody. I am really good at what I'm really good at. And other people are really good at what they're really good at. And so I create a network of people that are professionals whom I can refer people out to when either they've hit the limit of where I can go with them, or maybe they come to me and I know already right away we are not a good match, that there's someone that can work with them better that I can absolutely refer them to. And so knowing that, I stay in integrity with myself. Oh, there's so much unmasking happening right now. So, and what does that mean? Well, a lot of people are starting to wake up, and a lot of things that they thought were good are not so great in themselves, and they're changing, and some of them are not being so nice about it. So it's so important right now in the spirit world to stay regulated and do your internal 3D work, because that is freeing you. It frees your body to be lighter so you can connect more deeply with spirit. It frees your body to be able to connect to higher level energies and know that they are. It allows you to no longer be in distortion. If your energy field is gummed up with everybody else's energy or just residual energy, which is energy that kind of gets like, you know, when you get out of the shower, you're wet and some of the water drops on the floor. That's how energy works. It can drop on the floor, only it doesn't dry and it can get left behind. And so you can pick that up and have that gumming up your energy field. Well, if your guides are trying to talk to you, you're going to have a hard time. It's like trying to listen to them through a concert with big speakers going on and your friend's trying to talk to you, or at a club where they're trying to talk to you and the music's so loud you can't hear them, right? Same. So learning how to clear out your energy field, learning how to be deeply self-responsible, learning how to regulate your nervous system are all really important things for you to start being able to hear spirit more clearly and to know when it's actually your spirit team talking to you versus your emotions talking to you. And I really invite you, all emotions are good. They are just pure energy of some kind, and all of them can be used for the good. But also sometimes we're just being invited to feel what we're feeling and not have to fix it. Like this week, I was so vulnerable and I've been feeling very emotional. And you know what? Today, I finally just expressed my emotions and just felt them without needing to change them. And now I just feel better. I just feel better because I'm able to feel my emotions. Sometimes I know when it's time for me to do something about it. And there's other times when, right now I'm in perimenopause. It's just my hormones making me feel this way. And there's not much I can do in that moment except love on myself. So that's what I do. I stop and I do that breath work I taught. So short inhale in the nose, longer inhale out your mouth, gentle circles over your heart center, doing that multiple times in a row. And then I say, well, how am I feeling? I feel really sad. Well, what do I need? Well, I feel like I just need to cry. Well, then cry. And I do. And when I do that, I clear myself out. And that's when I get the messages from my guides, whether it's to talk to someone, whether it's an idea. Today was going to be all about self-care. And I guess in a way that's what I'm talking to you about. But I really realize that I'm seeing this kind of playing out in everyone's lives where there's so much coming at them and they're not really sure how to handle it. So these are some just ways that you can start exploring. Now, I will put some books in my show notes because one of the things I do is I am a spiritual mentor. I do teach gift development, ability development, whatever you want to call it. But part of that is I do implement my background as a sex, love, relationship coach in the spirit world. Because I've now understood why I had to learn all that. I understand that learning to heal your physical body actually creates stronger connection in the spirit world. What has been happening to a lot of my clients is as they are doing their deep healing work, they are suddenly coming online. They have abilities that they didn't even know existed coming online out of nowhere. But they're not. It's that their energy field's finally clear enough for things to activate and for that light switch to turn on. And so now we're working with how do you actually develop this, understand it, and find your freedom and power in it so that it doesn't scare you, so that you're not in fear. And so this is really what I want to impart with you, is that importance of knowing that when you do this work, it makes you feel more powerful when you're in environments. Right now, I'm just talking about energies. For many of you, you don't deal directly with spirits like I do, and so that's okay. And know too, even when things don't feel good, you have power, you get to choose. You are constantly in control. You get to choose. And I know that sounds like whatever, woo-woo for some people, but the reality of it is we get to choose. We are our own creators as much as Creator is. We get to choose. Now, I have someone in my life who they self-identify as atheists, but I really honor that because what they basically believe is everything that happens in their life is by their own choice. That there's no outside source affecting it. And ultimately, even in the spirit world, even if you are someone who deeply believes in Creator or God, a higher power of some kind, someone who's a star being or is being connected to their star family, you still have a choice in it. You still get to say yes or no. And you can say no now and then say yes later. And so when we actually take care of ourselves enough, we can actually, with confidence, say yes or no, knowing that there's never any missed opportunities. Literally, when one door closes, a window will open. If it wasn't meant to be at this time, something else will show up. And I really love to believe, because when you truly believe things, that's your reality, because I choose it to be my reality, that if I have an opportunity, parentheses, quotation marks, sorry, that passes me by because I'm not ready for it. When I am ready, what does show up is so much better than what was there before anyway, because now I'm ready. And I can fully receive this at such a deeper level than I ever did. So I know there are truly no missed opportunities. It's kind of like a buffet, right? You walk through and you think, I want this, this, and this. I don't want that, I don't want that, I want that. Then you sit down and eat all your food and you're like, oh, I'm still hungry, I want seconds. Now you come back and go, well, now that I ate that, that looks pretty good. This time around, I'm gonna get that. This time I'm gonna get that. Ooh, I didn't notice that last time. Let me get that, right? So that's the way opportunity works. It sounds so complicated and then it's also so simple. So that's kind of all I have to share with you. I don't even know if this is an hour today. I don't even know if it makes sense today, but I am committed and devoted to releasing my podcast on the new moon and the full moon. Oh, and what is this? Is this the new moon? Yeah, it's the new moon. So I'm letting go, right? I'm letting go of if this is great or not. But hopefully it touches somebody. Hopefully it makes sense to somebody. And the biggest advice I can give, or invitation even, I don't even like giving advice. I love to just share the invitation. If it resonates with you and it feels like something you want to try, just sit and do the breath work. Do take care of yourself. If you have a bathtub, take a salt bath because the minerals in that helps to ground you. If you feel ungrounded, drink salt water. Not only will it give you some necessary minerals, but it also helps to ground you. It makes you increase your conductivity. So what does that mean? It means that if you, and I'm telling you this, I'm a certified holistic nutrition coach, so I'm not just spouting this information without some background knowledge, is we are missing a lot of our minerals. So we include that in our water. It makes our water more absorbable. That makes us better hydrated. And if we're better hydrated, we actually work better as antennae for spirit. So if you're wanting to connect with your spirituality, your higher self, or even other energies around, being well hydrated actually helps. And having the proper mineral intake, proper nutrition, all of that clears up the gumminess in your physical body to free up your soul and your spirit and your energy to connect with higher sources. So that's why living in this 3D world, we can say we don't have to do that, but we really are serving ourselves by taking care of our physical bodies and understanding how that plays into our self-care in the spirit world. So I'm just going to offer you this. And I always invite you to simply try out the things that feel like they're resonating with you. And if they are not, that's okay. Just let them go. You can always come back to this recording and pick it up. Or you can just let it go, right? So we have that choice. So have a beautiful day and choose to have it on purpose. And what I mean by that is, even if you're feeling sad, I invite you to give yourself permission to have a wonderful day in your sadness. Matter of fact, help your sadness process even more by watching sad movies. Let yourself cry. Give yourself permission to feel that sadness, and then give yourself permission to let that sadness move on. Same with anger, frustration. Matter of fact, turn on a song that makes you feel like you just want to punch a pillow and punch a pillow. You know, just lock your door, let people know, don't come in, I'm just going to process. Be angry, have a temper tantrum. See how much better you feel and how much more space in your body you have after that. And then I invite you to practice connecting into maybe meditating or connecting to your spirit world. So what I mean by that is maybe see if your guides can connect with you, ask them, or just connect to your higher self. We'll go into how to have those little ways of connecting. I'll teach you some tools, but in the meantime, just sit with it, right? Just ask your higher self, how do you communicate with me? And then be open to the signs. With the joy of a little child, start to look around and notice, do they talk to you in song? Do you see symbols around? Are you having conversations with them in your head and didn't even know you were? Little hint for you. If your conversations in your head are using I, you're talking to yourself. If suddenly you hear your own voice saying you, that's actually your guides talking to you. Be curious. Enjoy the rest of your week Until next time, thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you soon. And a little PS, if you're interested and you are a female entrepreneur or a woman who is finding yourself in leadership within your community, my partner, Heather Rebecca Wilson, and myself are going to be putting on a series of workshops. They are going to be throughout the month of July and August. And then we're really excited to announce that we have created a 7-week program where we're going to deep dive into these things that we're just going to give you an introductory and touch on of being more in intuitive leadership. So how that looks, the ways that you can do that, the ways you can lay down your fear and then recognize your strengths and start to incorporate this into your everyday life. So the next workshop coming up is July 10th, which is actually this coming Wednesday. I'll put it in my show notes. You can register. If you can't make that one, that's okay. We're going to have about 6 or 7 more throughout the month. So just take a look as we advertise the different dates, and I will put them on each and every one of these show notes through each one episode that I do. And actually really excited, next episode, I'm going to actually have Heather on as my guest. And we're going to share life path astrology and how you can actually use that as a principle for living and what that means for you. So really excited to have her on the show, excited to talk to her and you about the program that is upcoming and our workshops are offering. And just to really help you feel regulated in your nervous system, we truly believe in just offering as much information that we can in the workshop for the free 2-hour workshop, with no expectation from you if you're going to buy or not. This is just good information. And if that gives you what you need, then we really want you on that call. If you are someone who decides after listening to that you want to dive deeper, we will actually let you know throughout that entire workshop when that's going to happen, so that if you don't want to be a part of that, you can actually log off and just walk away with what fulfilled you, what filled you up, and what gave you some information and tools to start working with without worrying about the sales part of it. So again, have a great week. Look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.